What if the greatest hero in the universe was also the biggest mistake maker? What happens when your superpower isn't strength or speed or fire, but pure, boundless intelligence? Today we're diving into the tragic brilliance of Reed Richards, a man whose mind stretched the boundaries of reality, but whose hubris, that single fatal flaw, birthed a legacy of wonders and wounds. This is the story of Mr. Fantastic, the architect who became chained to his greatest creation. Welcome back to Marvel Echoes Resonance. I'm Will, and if you've listened to episode 9, you know we spent a lot of time deconstructing the scarred brilliance of Dr. Doom. Well, today, we're going right at his greatest rival, the man whose story is inextricably linked to Doom's, the brilliant, guilt-ridden, and ultimately human Reed Richards. Our core mission here is to go beyond the trivia and uncover the narrative impact, motivations, and cultural resonance, aka the echo, that makes these stories timeless. And with Reed Richards, the echo is deafening. See, Reed's origin isn't about cosmic rays. It's about hubris. Reed Richards was a prodigy from birth, the son of a brilliant physicist who saw the entire universe as a series of solvable problems. He racked up degrees from places like MIT and Harvard and had this deep, unshakable confidence that his intellect could conquer any variable. His identity was his mind. Now picture this, you're a young genius sitting in your dorm at Empire State University and dreaming of building a starship. You tell your best friend, a tough-as-nails football scholarship guy named Ben Grimm, the kind of friend you always count on, that if you ever built that thing, he's got to fly it. It's a classic military brat sense of duty that meets pure geek ambition. And that dreamer you're sharing the floor with, that's Victor Von Doom. Their rivalry, fueled by Victor's arrogance and Reed's inability to see emotions as anything but a logical puzzle, sets the stage for the next 6 decades of Marvel history. Reed finally gets his starship, the Marvel One, and here's where the retcon of the real narrative power kicks in. In the classic telling, it was an expedition. But in modern retellings, it's framed as a desperate, high-stakes gamble in the international space race to develop a faster-than-light drive. It was no longer a beautiful experiment, it was a race, and Reed was cutting corners. He assured his crew, Sue Storm, her brother Johnny, and Ben, that the shielding would hold up against the cosmic radiation. Ben was nervous, but Reed was confident. His miscalculation was catastrophic. But here's the essential modern twist. Recent lore suggests that, of course, the shielding would have been enough, and the numbers were right. But because Reed launched the Marvel One unauthorized ahead of schedule, he drew the attention of the overseer of the planet Spire, a cosmic entity who feared Earth's random elements. This overseer saw the ship coming and actively amplified the cosmic storm, turning a manageable encounter into a deadly targeted attack. So Reed's mistake was not really his math. His mistake was his reckless ambition. He may have built the perfect car, but he drove it into a cosmic trap because he wouldn't wait for permission. The ship was blasted, and they crashed, and they were irrevocably changed. Of course, we know Reed gained the elasticity, a perfect physical metaphor for his intellectual flexibility. Sue became the Invisible Woman, Johnny the Human Torch, and Ben, well, his best friend became the Thing, a monstrous, stony manifestation of that shared trauma. This is the echo that defines Reed Richards. His powers are not a gift, they're a shared, permanent wound caused by his moral failure. The name he adopts, Mr. Fantastic, is later revealed to be a point of shame, a constant reminder of the intellectual arrogance that called him his best friend, his humanity. Reed's immense guilt was his original sin. Fuels every decision he makes from that day forward. He must now dedicate his life to protecting the world and his family from the very forces he unleashed. So let's fast forward a bit and see how the original guilt shapes the modern Reed Richards. His trauma didn't just give him a family, it gave him an obsession, catastrophe prevention. He became the ultimate dad trying to baby-proof the world. This obsession leads directly to some of the most controversial story arcs in Marvel history. First, you need to understand the Illuminati, the secret society of the world's smartest people, including Tony Stark, Black Bolt, and Professor X, was formed by Reed with the express mission of preventing global and cosmic disasters from the shadows. This is Reed's guilt institutionalized. It's an attempt to take control of variables in a very complex universe. And you see, the true chilling consequence of this mindset shows up in Civil War. When the Superhuman Registration Act was debated, Reed's deep-seated need to prevent another catastrophe led him to side with Iron Man. To him, a centralized system of logical controlled authority was the only rational response to chaos. It was a deeply flawed choice, sacrificing personal freedom for perceived safety, but it was a logical response to his trauma. Fans hated it, calling it character assassination. But it's tragically consistent with a man who fears his own mistakes more than any external villain. Now, we're going to get to the ultimate proof that the emotional core of the Fantastic Four is what saves Reed Richards from becoming a monster. The Maker. The Maker is Ultimate Reed Richards, a version of the character from a parallel Earth. In that reality, he lost his family, and without the grounding love to act as a counterweight, his intellect became a cosmic, amoral threat. The Maker became a villain whose sole goal was to solve the multiverse through mass destruction, ultimately creating a new Ultimate Universe in his own image. He's the terrifying what-if scenario for our 616 read. It demonstrates that his elasticity and his super brain are secondary to his heart. Now, this all culminates with writer John Hickman's masterpiece, Secret Wars. The multiverse collapses and Doom, that ultimate ego, becomes God Emperor Doom, ruling over the patchwork planet he created. Reed has to confront his rival on the grandest stage possible. But here's the key. Reed wins not through superior science, but through superior humanity. He shows the emotional maturity and empathy that Doom, whose ego is perpetually scarred, could never possess. In the end, it is Reed's family, his friends, and his acceptance of his guilt that allows him to literally rebuild the entire multiverse, cementing his legacy not as a scientist, but as a multiversal architect. And today, in the current From the Ashes era of comics, Reed Richards remains the intellectual sentinel, still navigating the consequences of his actions. His job isn't done. He is the man who created the template for all modern, flawed superheroes, the heroes with the hang-ups, as Stan Lee called them. He is still the ultimate flawed father, the architect of reality, and the man perpetually trying to atone for that single, fateful flight. The rivalry between Reed and Doom is eternal, a perpetual reenactment of that college confrontation, where one man is grounded by love and the other is consumed by ego. But I'll leave you with this question. If Reed Richards had never been forced to accept responsibility for his mistake, do you think he would have become a hero? Or would he have inevitably become just another version of the Maker? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks again for listening to this episode of Marvel Echoes. If you enjoyed the deep dive into the genius and guilt of Reed Richards, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of our episodes. Leaving a like and a comment really helps the podcast grow. And for more content, including full deep dive articles and new reader introductory guides, make sure you follow the link in the description below. Till next time, true believers, make mine Marvel.